can be a rather quiet woman that likes to sit in the back, and someone can be starting an organization, and you can say, well, okay, I guess I'll be the treasurer. And before long, you move along somewhere, and eventually think, well, I can probably get elected. And you do. And you go down there with just knowing the difference between right and wrong, and you end up in a year being RLC's Legislator of the Year, because she's awesome. What else can we say? She can tell the difference between right and wrong, and she knows what the principles are. And she has done an incredible progress forward, because see, anybody else here can do what Heather's done. She was just a quiet person in the back of the room and said, okay, I'll be treasurer. And now she's going to tell us an awful lot of ways that we can be way more effective in how to get where we want to get, which is to live in the land of the free and the home of the brave.
That was really nice. And that is about all I knew, just right from wrong. It wasn't totally quiet. I don't know that I can compete with the cakes and the desserts and all the good speakers, but I'm going to try. So I'm Representative Heather Scott. It's kind of weird to say. I'm from District 1, Bonner and Boundary County. And I really appreciate you asking me to talk tonight. When Wayne, it's good to be with a good crowd. I know you guys are all like-minded. Wayne told me, it's at the Assembly of God Church, so there'll be no rhinos there, because I think they catch fire when they come in the door. Okay, this will be good. I can do this. I live up in Blanchard, which is about 35 miles north of Coeur d'Alene. I'm married. I live on a small farm. I have a black lab and some chickens and a little orchard, and I've worked as a biologist doing fishery studies for about 20 years. And I started this journey about 3 years ago, and I prayed for new direction, and at that time I had zero, maybe even -0 political experience. I didn't know I had 2 state representatives and a senator. I don't even think I understood the difference between, state and federal, which is a little embarrassing. But anyway, my life has changed a ton in the last 3 years. And 2 important things I've learned. Careful what you pray for, especially if it's new direction. And we have a huge God. And our God is not bound by the circumstances that limit us. And I just give him all the praise and glory for being here and the opportunities he's given me. So I have to start all my talks. Can everyone hear me okay? Echo. I always do a quick review because this was all new to me. What form of government do we have? Thank you. I know this will be quick. Do you realize we're the only country where do our rights come from, founded on this boldly God, our created, and they are unalienable rights that cannot be taken from us. The government should not be defining rights, which we spoke a little bit about that earlier. Where's all the power in government? How much? Do you believe that? Yep. Okay, good. You delegate, when you elect someone to office, you delegate your authority. And the elected officials can make decisions for you and votes, but you do not give up your power when you elect those people to office. Most citizens, I believe, do not understand this. You have to get this. I mean, this is a principle that's and maybe you guys have it, but you have to make sure other citizens around you get this. Because if they don't believe they have power, their actions and words are never going to be liberty-minded. Your words are critical. Do you ever catch yourself saying the federal government's so powerful and they're taking away all our rights. Have you ever said that? Maybe nobody in this room, but I hear it all the time. If we continue to say the government's taking away our rights, we must not truly believe they come from God. Here's why I think it's important. My limited time in Boise has already shown me that the legislators down there are more afraid of the establishment and the governor and their short political careers than they are of the citizens. And maybe rightfully so. Are there consequences when your elected officials don't do what you direct them to do or vote against the Constitution? In the legislature, there are definitely consequences if you don't follow along. Elizabeth can attest to that. In my experience, they're going to run candidates against you during an election, they bury your bills in committee, they dump a lot of money against you in media ads, and they generally try to destroy your character in an effort to either silence you or get you unelected. And then they call you to the speaker's office or the principal's office. Those are fun. Matt's had a lot of those. I call Matt, I'm like, he's like, don't worry about it, they'll do it all the time. Okay, he's been a great mentor. What's sad is I think they actually believe, some of those legislators down there think that I should report to the leadership. I mean, they think I work for them, and I don't. Many times, the votes your elected officials cast are done to keep friends and special perks, and rather than looking out for you, the citizens. And I can't tell you the times they told me, oh, it was going to pass anyway, so I just voted yes. Because I always question, I'm like, why'd you vote that way? You know better. Well, it was going to pass. So these same politicians, they get their self-esteem and, their self-esteem and their pride built up by not only the establishment, but of course by the lobbyists. Lots of whining and dining and really good food. I mean, really good food in Boise. So, and I do think that there's some good legislators out there that actually think they've bought into this centralized planning, like, they know better than the citizens, and, they talk to the people in the industry, and they should be making the decisions for you guys. And don't think the political parties are going to save you. I know that, there's I won't get into it. Political parties and issues, they're designed to control the narrative and pit the citizens against each other and keep them fighting. When citizens are busy fighting over the issues, more bills are passed and the government continues to grow. And your issues are really not the real issue. I like to say there's two parties in Boise. There's the party working for the people and the gravy train party. And there's Republicans and Democrats on both. And I think there's a lot of, the Liberty Republicans, they're probably on the right, they're on the party of the people. But it's big, the gravy train party is a problem. And the bureaucrats, the unelected agency staff that pass rules and regulations that you're going to follow or you're going to pay or sit in jail. Actually, I brought them to show you. That many bills that will all follow now in 3 months. And then that seems like a big deal to me. It's like, that sucks because somebody had to read all those, right? I have a good reading team. It's hard to read all the bills. The big deal is we also passed 1,508 pages of rules and regulations. And you may say, what's rules and regulations? Administrative rules and regulations are how government grows unchecked when no one's watching. That's my definition. They're written by bureaucrats and lobbyists throughout the year. They're being written right now. They're generally published once a month on a website. Most all these rules are labeled negotiated rules, and they allow for public input. In January, the first 3 weeks of session, when I go down there, you go into the committees. You guys probably know more about, what the committees are. You each have your committees, like Education Committee, Transportation Committee. So you go into your committees and you have these dockets, they call them dockets, and they're huge packets of rules and regulations written by the bureaucrats. And legislators really only review the rules and regulations that come through their committee. So I'm on Rev and Tax, so I look at the Rev and Tax rules. I'm on Environment and Technology, and I'll look at those rules. So as a committee member, they stand up there and they present, the bureaucrats present their rules, and they're called negotiated, and so I'm new, and I'm like, so did you have some public meetings? Who'd you negotiate with? Oh, no public had any comments. That seems a little odd. That doesn't make sense. So I just kept asking that every time a bureaucrat would stand up, and I was like, so did you have some public meetings for this? None. The responses were maybe 1 or 2 letters, or no citizens had provided any input on the rules. And some of these rules are horrible. In my Environment Committee, we are literally inserting EPA federal code right into our state law. With one little line, CFR, Code of Federal Regulations, it may be 4 volumes of EPA standards, rules, with just one little line, and they're flying through my committee. That's a whole nother story. But this is how they come. So how many people had ever heard of the rules before? Not very many. How many people know where to find them? How many people give an input? Nobody knows this. So this is how Common Core came into Idaho. They affect every part of your life. That's how the healthcare stuff comes in, fish and game regulations, accounting, tax, transportation, every single bureaucratic agency out there. This is what guides them. So you can't always blame your legislators for the government growing, because that's the responsibility of the citizens. Idaho is one of only 2 states that we actually get to look at those rules, and when I say look, it's like they just kind of run them under your nose for a minute and vote on them. But we're only one of 2 states. That's going to be on a constitutional amendment this year on your ballot in November. You want to vote yes on that. That's going to secure that we can at least keep doing that. Because sometimes if it's really, really bad, maybe your Idaho legislators will vote no, because they pass everything.